Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I decided to go ahead and show my latest custom. I did a custom Reptil in a Marvel Legends style. This was a really easy build. It seems easier than it is, to be honest, because a lot of the things that I did, while it looks easy, prove themselves to be very difficult. I'm gonna go through and show like kind of how I did it, what hiccups I made, and how successful I think the overall appeal was. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, I just thought I'd decide and talk about why I wanted to make this guy. I read his miniseries. I remember him in a Spider-Man cartoon when I was a kid. I forget which one it was. He wasn't in it very much, but I remember him being a very interesting character. And I know recently he had his title series. It's still ongoing. I think his most recent book just came out recently. I haven't gotten around to reading it quite yet, but the first book I really liked. His power is one that I would love to have. I study zoology and conservation and paleontology in school. So dinosaurs naturally stick with me, and I've loved dinosaurs my whole life. So having him find that fossil and being able to turn his body into different animals of prehistoric times is awesome to me. I've always been fascinated with dinosaurs, the Ice Age, and prehistoric life in general. It just was always something that was very interesting to me. I've done a lot of art about it, and so he was a character that was naturally going to appeal to me. So I went ahead and said to myself, you know what? I need a toy of that guy. So here's what I did. So first things first, I went ahead and thought to myself, what body could I use? Now, everybody knows you go to your local Target or Walmart, you're going to see the movie Shang-Chi. And I said to myself, you know what? Shave that down a little bit, and that could work. Now, I shaved it down as best as I could, but I don't really have a lot of good material for that. So you can still kind of see his design, but honestly, I think it works for the character. A little bit more of a realistic flair, kind of like taking note from the Star Wars Black Series, giving the cartoon characters a more realistic appeal. That's kind of how I went with this. So I shaved it down a little bit to get the main stuff off. You can kind of still see it, but not like terribly. And in person, it's without blaring lights on it from afar, it kind of looks better and more smooth. I went ahead and just simply painted that black. It was red originally. You can kind of see it peeking through every now and then, but that's easy touch-up work. And I do my work with spray paint with that because it sticks nice. And when you let it dry, if you get the right paint, you put a nice matte finish over it and it stays on really good. All the articulation works fine. There's the waist swivel. We'll go through articulation later on, but so that's the first thing I started with. And the Shang-Chi legs worked good too. I heated the hell out of them, cut them in half, and then cut the top of the Tiger Raptor from the Mattel Amber Collection series, which was... That Raptor was very difficult to pull apart, to say the least, and I'm a little annoyed at some of the articulation I had to sacrifice. Like, there's no swivel at what would be the knee. This is actually the knee of the Raptor, and this is the ankle, and then this is the toe. Just a little fun fact, but it still hinges. So I have the hinge there, and they both work perfectly fine. This one's a little bit tight, but it's not that bad. But there's no swivel there, so I had to sacrifice that. But he has gray pants, so I had to paint the black Shang-Chi pants gray. And then I kind of had it triple off a little bit to look like ripped pants. I don't really have any sculpting or anything like that. I would like to come back and fill in the gap and make it look like tattered pants, like like he has in the comic books. But for right now, I'm okay with that. Again, from afar on a shelf, it looks pretty good. And then the legs, from the legs down, that's all I did, and they work fine. All the articulation's there. It's great. I love that they did the toe for the dangly claw. That's awesome. So next I went ahead and drilled a hole in his butt. I mean, simple input. I drilled a hole in his butt, took the peg off of the Raptor after I split it in half, simply cut off the ball joint or the loop at the end of the base of the Raptor tail and glued it in. So you still get the ball joint at the base and it swivels and, it's the tail. The big problem is it's very heavy on a 6-inch figure, so you kind of have to lean them forward all the time, but it has that degenerate leg like a Raptor does, so, you can kind of fudge it and have it, he'll stand for sure. And again, we'll go over articulation thoroughly later, but it works. Then I went ahead and popped his body in half before I finished painting him. and cut the pegs off of the Raptor arms, cut the Shang-Chi arms off, glued them together, and they have full articulation too. So, you can get his arm around, whatever. And the Raptor, I had to get 2 Raptors to switch out the arms because I still want a good Raptor in my collection because I have a huge Jurassic Park collection myself. So I went ahead and got 2 of them because I broke one of the 1 pegs and it was bothering me and I wanted this to be as good as possible. But they work perfectly in here. It's actually very decent. The articulation's great on the arms. Again, we'll go through that. And then I went ahead and painted the neck orange. On camera, it looks pretty different, but in person, it actually looks a little bit better. I'm actually seeing that just now on camera. But I might go ahead and do like another overspray of darker orange on the back just to make it a little bit more concise. Because, when he turns into these animals, he turns orange. So kind of like how Beast Boy's green, he turns orange. So I wanted to replicate that. Now, the hardest part of this was what head to use because, obviously you want a character and you want as most of accurate as a head sculpt as possible. So I saw Namor. I had the Marvel Legends Walgreens. No, it was the Okoye Build-A-Figure Wave Namor. Now, I looked at the hair on the bearded head and I looked at the face on the non-bearded head. And I wanted to put those 2 together, so that's exactly what I did. I popped the hair off of the bearded head, and then I popped the hair off of the bearded head, switched it, and I painted a little bit of that orange on his face like he's transforming. Now, the biggest downfall of this figure, as you can see, there's a lot of gappage in the neck. I accidentally broke the peg and had to put the middle of a thumbtack prick to put in there. The articulation's fine. It's got great articulation, and you can pose the gaps away. So from certain angles, it's going to look pretty donkey, but from other ones, it's going to look pretty good, and it looks perfect. So I think the hair is perfect for him. I went for a more adult, serious look, and then obviously the very last thing I did was paint the deco that he has on his suit. So overall, I'm pretty successful with this, and we're going to go ahead and look through the articulation. So to go through the articulation, as I stated, the articulation's there for the ball joint. It's just ugly, and if I ever can get another Shang-Chi for super cheap, I'll just switch them out. But his head's going to look up that much. Again, really gappy, but it's kind of like that new Baron Zemo, but whatever. Looks down great. You get a full swivel, you get good pivot, everything's fine. So the head looks great, and you can pose it away. Shoulders will move out all the way. They both will rotate full. You get the single jointed elbow like it has on the Amber Collection. So if you know the Amber Collection Raptors, you know how this works. Hinge, swivel. You do get a nab crunch. It doesn't affect any of the paint back. The waist swivel does work all the way around. The tail does not get in the way of that at all. You get the ball joint at the base of the tail, so it swivels. Great bendy wire in the tail. I love that the Amber Collection did that, and it works great for him, especially when you're trying to pose him, like jumping and stuff. The hips are going to move out towards that much, so as much as the Shang-Chi one would. The hips didn't really get changed anything. You're going to kick forward that much. Back, there's no thigh swivel, but we'll get down to that. You get the knee hinge. No swivel there, unfortunately, but you do get the swivel at the ankle, so that's not that bad. And then the hinge there, and then at the toes, you'll be able to move up, down, and you can get a pivot there, and you also, you get the little hinge there. So I think the articulation is great for him. You can get him in some like very prehistoric-esque poses, some long poses, very dramatic posability on this guy, and he stands good. I mean, the good thing about it is the feet are big, so while the tail might not hinder, but like weigh him down a little bit, the legs, the feet are pretty big, so they work pretty nice, and you can get them into, with a little bit of finessing, you can get them into a pretty badass pose. So yeah, there's the articulation. So overall, I think this is I'm very happy with how this turned out. It was a lot of work. Honestly, it didn't take me very long, but it was a lot more stressful work and little things here and there that I wanted to tweak. And me being the perfectionist that I am, had to go ahead and make sure that it was as good as possible, especially considering this is my first video, and hopefully that this gets shared and liked and all the, the YouTube stuff, that it blows up and I can show more of my customs and more of my collection and talk toys. That's what I like to do. So overall, very happy with this. I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you like this, please, you can like or comment, subscribe. I'm new to this. I don't know how this goes, so cut me a break here, guys. But I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I believe my Instagram tagged in the bottom. It's a new page. Give me some followers, spread the love. I would really appreciate it. But anyway, guys, that's awesome. Deuces.